Hey, I hope you're all doing well. I want to bring up something that is a total misconception of IT. I've heard it, I've seen it, and here's what it is. People come by IT oftentimes and they think, I want to work in IT because you guys just get to sit at computers. And that looks fun. I don't have to, have physical labor or whatever's going on in my job. I want to do what you're doing. So let me tell you what, yeah, there might be a lot of sitting at desks. Fortunately for me, I've got one that moves up and down. I can stand or sit or whatever. You can you can look at it that way. You can think, oh well, there's lazy people. It's all they have to do is sit at computers and solve little problems. It's not really that big of a deal. That is a total misconception. It is hard. It is hard work. It is hard to solve some of the issues we have to resolve. We're often going back and forth with multiple companies in the same day, trying to resolve issues, the way that data flows and communicates, the way that maybe a Microsoft problem and Office 365 and Azure and AWS, some account is not working the way that it's expected to work. Some software package is not working the way that is expected. And when you're in IT and you know that what I do, how I solve this problem is going to affect this person's day and being able to get stuff done and being able to get, for us at Stitch, it's to get product out the door. Or if I solve it the wrong way, it can be detrimental. It can be, actually, we could, lose money at Stitch, right? Because if I don't solve this problem, then we're not maybe going to have production running to capacity. We're not going to be, getting our orders out, and it's going to cause manual labor, right? Somebody's going to have to do something manually if an automation stops working. So that aspect of it, just remove it from your mind. Now let me ask you this. So when you think about IT, as sometimes you say, oh well, they're just sitting around. They just get to sit around. What do they do? Sometimes I walk by Chris's desk and he's just watching videos. I was actually probably watching Network Plus, which I've told him I want him to take and watch and get certified in. And they think, oh well, if I had access to a computer all day, I'd just watch YouTube videos, but that's not the case. And so compounding onto this, let me tell you, as far as like my role as IT director, extremely challenging. And the reason is, like, my brain, when you put a problem in here, it's like the problem floats around and floats around and floats. It's not just empty space, by the way. It floats around and floats around and floats around until I can resolve it. So you can't, for me, and for many of us in IT have this mindset of, man, that bugs me. How do I fix that issue? And you're just chewing on. I could think of 5 problems right now off the top of my head, and that are sitting there like in this pending state, kind of floating back and forth. Okay, let me think about this one a little bit more. Let me think about this one a little bit more, and trying to solve a problem like almost 24/7. I mean, not when I'm sleeping, obviously, but when I'm on a walk, a lot of times these problems are still like I'm just chewing on them, thinking about them. So when you have your job that you can go and fulfill from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, whatever it is that your work hours are, and you're able to go home and not think about work at all, you have to think there's people in IT that are continually thinking about their work and their issues, even when they're out of hours. It's not always the healthiest. I'm not going to say that. It's good to draw limits and boundaries, and I have to do some things, mental exercises, to help limit how much creep there is into my personal life from my work life. But it is challenging. So if you think you want to get into IT because you see people sitting around, let me tell you that is a total misconception. So But if there's something welling up in you with that curiosity that I've talked about, maybe IT is your thing. Feed that curiosity and see if there's something there. It's not just checking boxes in IT. You can't just like say, okay, every problem is exactly the same. I'm just going to A, B, C, D. That's it. I'm done. I'm moving on to the next one. That's not how it works. That's not how we think. Chris and I feel like we have an awesome team at Stitch, but we're in constant communication with each other. He's constantly asking me for recommendations, and because he's learning so much about, and he's like got his AWS certification, I'm constantly asking him questions like AWS and some other things like, what do you think about this, or how would you solve this problem? And so there's a two-way street, okay? And it's hard. It's hard.